Hello, thanks for visiting my reading room. I'm Nancy, reader and tutor and small business owner of West Coast Polar Ice, Italian Ice Specialties, and Sorbet. And tonight we're continuing in Wordly Wise Book 10, second edition by Kenneth Hodgkinson and Sandra Adams. So I'll read each word and their definition, and then I will follow up with a reading passage that incorporates all of the words. Okay, so we begin. The first word, adjacent, an adjective. Means near to or next to or adjoining. The two couples requested adjacent rooms when they checked into the hotel. Number 2, beset, a verb, to surround or to attack repeatedly. Mosquitoes beset the campers as soon as they entered the woods. To trouble or weigh down. Some veterans of the Gulf War were beset by a variety of ailments after they returned home. Third word, cede, a verb, to give up or transfer, especially by treaty or formal agreement. France ceded vast territories to the United States as part of the 1803 Louisiana Purchase. Number 4, circuitous. It's an adjective, roundabout or indirect. Before the Panama Canal was completed in 1914, ships had to travel a circuitous route around South America. Number 5, desultory, an adjective. It means proceeding or carried out in an aimless or random way. After my best friend moved away, our phone conversations became more and more desultory. Galvanize, a verb, to excite or arouse action. The discovery of gold in California galvanized Easterners to go west to seek their fortunes. Implement, a noun, a tool or instrument. My father keeps his woodworking implements in the tool shed. It's also a verb, meaning to carry out. The governor implemented his plan for health care reform as soon as he took office. The next word, inconsequential, an adjective, lacking importance or worth, unable to make an impact, trivial. The issue of cafeteria hours seemed so inconsequential that I didn't bother to raise it at the meeting. Magnitude, a noun, meaning greatness of size, power, or influence. The magnitude of the success of her book thrilled the author. The next word, materialize, a verb, to become real or actual. When offers or financial support did not materialize, I was forced to abandon the research project. It also means to appear in physical form, especially suddenly. The trapped miners were about to abandon hope when the rescue crew materialized. Word number 11, muster, a noun, a gathering usually of military forces. The evening muster of the troops was held at 6:00 p.m. sharp. It is also a verb, to summon or call forth, to gather. Sam wanted to ask for a raise, but couldn't muster the courage to ask his boss. Number 12, prohibitive, an adjective, serving to restrain action or discourage use of. Many students couldn't attend the concert because the ticket prices were prohibitive. Number 13, reminisce, a verb, to think or talk about one's past. My grandparents liked to reminisce about when they were our age. Reminisce is also a noun, the act of remembering, a recollection. Reminiscences often blur with time. Reminiscent is an adjective suggestive of something else. The land where the miners settled was reminiscent of the Welsh valleys they had left behind. Number 14, vanguard, A noun, the leading or forward position in a movement. Andy Warhol was in the vanguard of the pop art movement. And the last word, 15, visionary. A noun, a person who is given to ideas that are currently realistic. A dreamer. Nelson Mandela is a South African visionary who has made ending apartheid his life's work. It's also an adjective, able to see what might be accomplished in the future. President Kennedy had the visionary goal of landing people on the moon. Okay, so now we will read the passage. See if I can find it quickly here. Okay, it's North to Alaska. The 50th anniversary of the completion of the Alaska Highway was celebrated in 1992 at more than 200 locations along its 1,442-mile stretch. Many of those who had helped to build the highway took part in the celebration. Although the construction was beset by almost unsurmountable difficulties, the highway was completed in less than 9 months. It follows a circuitous path from Dawson Creek, British Columbia, to Delta Junction, Alaska, and today is traveled by more than 40,000 vehicles every year. The United States bought Alaska from Russia in 1867 for $7.2 million, the equivalent of 11 cents an acre. Unfortunately for the United States, Alaska could only be reached from the rest of the country by boat. A few visionaries dreamed of building a highway to connect Alaska with the rest of the United States, and a few desultory attempts were made and quickly abandoned. The magnitude of the task was daunting. Most of the highway would have to cross Canada, but Canada was unwilling to cede control of any of its territory, and the United States refused to proceed without unrestricted access. In addition, constructing the highway over Canada's soft, swamp-like land would be difficult. This complication would add to the cost of the project, making the expense prohibitive. Finally, although the people of Alaska would gain from it, the benefits to the southern states were expected to be inconsequential. The United States government hesitation to go forward with the project changed on December 7, 1941, when the country found itself at war with Japan. In June of the following year, Japanese planes attacked the U.S. naval base at Dutch Harbor, a village on one of the Aleutian Islands, which are adjacent to Alaska. The Japanese also occupied another 2 of these islands. If mainland Alaska were invaded by sea, the United States would have no way of protecting it without a highway. The U.S. government was galvanized into action. The Army Corps of Engineers was given 7 days to draw up a plan to build the Alaska Highway. Canada, equally fearful of a Japanese invasion, supported the effort, and the plan was implemented without delay. 10,000 troops were mustered for the task, together with the similar number of civilian workers. The speed with which the project proceeded astonished the inhabitants who lived in scattered settlements along its length. In the vanguard were the survey crews who laid out the route with all of its twists and turns. Construction workers followed, chopping down trees and laying them crosswise on top of the soft land to prevent the road from sinking. Reminiscing after 50 years, workers agreed that the experience with the project was thoroughly unpleasant. They remembered the mosquitoes most vividly. During the summer months, the insects seemed to materialize out of nowhere, wherever skin was exposed. Workers wore nets on their heads as protection, but each time they lifted them to eat, a dozen or more mosquitoes would slip through. As winter approached and the project neared completion, bitter cold became the enemy. Temperatures plummeted to 70 degrees below zero. Wow. And fires were lit under trucks at night to make sure they started in the morning. The road was completed on schedule and was officially opened on November 20th, 1942. Japan, aware that troops and supplies could now be rushed to Alaska's defense, made no attempt to occupy it. The original dirt road is now paved over 90% of its length, and over the years, tens of thousands of people have traveled it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that read. That was very interesting and very factual. Good night.